Mount Rushmore is unlike any other sculpture. Rather than appearing as a painstakingly crafted artwork, it almost seems as if the giant faces naturally emerged from the mountain itself, as if shaped by nature rather than by human hands. In reality, Mount Rushmore is not only a stunning piece of art, but also a remarkable feat of engineering. Despite having no formal artistic training, a vast crew of gold miners brought these colossal heads to life, using jackhammers, dynamite, and ingenious engineering techniques. We recreated the entire process to show you how they transferred the design onto the mountain using ancient Greek technology, and how all of this was accomplished without a single casualty. But to truly understand why Mount Rushmore exists, we need to journey back in time. The vision behind Mount Rushmore. In the early 1920s, South Dakota was a young state struggling to make its mark. State historian Don Robinson noticed how tourists flocked to a new sculpture in Georgia, which sparked an idea. He reached out to sculptor Gutzon Borglum with a proposal to create a massive monument honoring America's Wild West heroes. Borglum loved the concept but believed that national figures like presidents would attract even more attention. So, in the summer of 1925, Borglum arrived in South Dakota and discovered Mount Rushmore, a 500-foot cliff of fine-grained granite. He immediately recognized it as the perfect canvas for his grand vision. After securing the site, Borglum began studying photographs of the presidents and crafted a detailed 1/12 scale model. But the real challenge lay ahead, figuring out how to transform that model into the monumental sculpture on the mountain itself. Borglum's master plan. At that time, Mount Rushmore was completely inaccessible. No roads, no electricity, and no way for workers to climb the cliff. So, in the summer of 1927, a road was constructed to transport people and materials. Soon after, a workers' village sprang up at the mountain's base, complete with tool shops, blacksmiths, and housing. An enormous staircase was built leading to the summit, and a cable car system was installed to ferry tools and supplies back and forth. At the top, a winch house allowed operators to safely raise and lower workers on small seats to any point on the cliff face. With all these logistical challenges solved, the team was ready to carve the first head, that of George Washington. Carving George Washington. Using carefully placed dynamite, the crew blasted away large chunks of rock until they formed a rough, egg-shaped head. From there, workers used jackhammers to sculpt the finer details. Handling heavy 30-kilogram jackhammers on a sheer cliff face was no easy task, and powering the tools required even more engineering innovation. The jackhammers ran on compressed air, powered by 3 massive compressors housed in a building at the mountain's base. These compressors ran on electricity supplied by a nearby gold mine and pumped air through a 2,000-foot pipe up the cliffside to the summit, where up to 16 jackhammers could operate simultaneously. To prevent the jackhammers from bouncing uncontrollably, workers developed unique techniques, sometimes anchoring chains for grip, other times using their feet to steady the tools. Though the workers became jackhammer experts, none had artistic training. So how did they know precisely where to carve? On a previous project, Borglum used a projector to trace designs onto the rock, but Mount Rushmore's scale and 3-dimensional faces made this impossible. Instead, Borglum devised a method to transfer the design points from his model directly onto the mountain. Mapping Mount Rushmore. Inspired by the ancient Greeks who replicated Roman statues using a device called a pointing machine, Borglum developed his own giant pointing machine. This tool, essentially a metal arm with a weighted tip that could swing around a fixed axis, measured angles and distances on the model. By multiplying these measurements by 12, to scale up from the 5-foot model to the 60-foot mountain, workers could locate the exact spots to drill on the cliff. This giant pointing machine was installed on the mountain itself, marking thousands of precise points to guide the carving. Instead of chiseling away whole sections, workers drilled closely spaced holes in a honeycomb pattern and then broke away the rock between them. After hours of drilling, a steelworker would descend on a harness to replace drill bits, keeping the process continuous. It was grueling. Workmen spent 8 hours a day dangling 500 feet above the ground, earning just 50 cents an hour. Years passed, and eventually George Washington's head was complete. Borglum's well-organized team then focused on the finer details, particularly the eyes, one of the most challenging parts. Greek sculptures typically featured flat, lifeless eyes. To create a realistic gleam, Borglum carved deep shadowed holes for the eye sockets and left a small square section uncut at the pupil center to simulate light reflection. This was risky as the rock could collapse at any moment, but the effect was stunning. From afar, these tiny squares gave the eyes a lifelike shine. To finish, workers used a process called bumping to smooth and lighten the surface, turning the granite a brighter white. Why Mount Rushmore was never finished. The carving of Mount Rushmore lasted 14 years but was never fully completed. Originally, Borglum planned to carve each president down to the waist and create an elaborate secret tomb behind the monument. However, World War II diverted funding and attention, and Borglum passed away a few years later. Despite this, Borglum and Robinson succeeded in putting South Dakota on the map forever. This text is sponsored by Incogni. Did you know your personal data is constantly being collected by marketing agencies, filling your inbox with spam? Fortunately, you can protect your privacy with Incogni. They contact data brokers on your behalf, requesting removal of your information, saving you countless hours of hassle. I've used Incogni for months, and it's dramatically reduced spam in my life. Incogni now offers a family plan to safeguard your loved ones too. Protect your data and reclaim your inbox at incogni.com/primalspace. Use code primalspace to get 60% off the annual plan. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment your thoughts on Mount Rushmore, and subscribe for more amazing content. Stay tuned for the next video, where we're giving away a Precision Machine stainless steel Metmo Cube desk toy. Sign up at the link below for your chance to win.